Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mid-Season Invitational 2016, and we are here gearing up for our next match. It's Flash Wolves versus Supermassive, LMS versus Turkey. And let's first start talking about Flash Wolves a little bit here. They came into this tournament, honestly, coming out of a bottom-heavy league, teams that they could easily beat, and they were winning early games so much. But now, it's much different competition. Their early games are one of the worst in the league. I mean, according to Stake, before this tournament even started, he actually said that he feels like the bottom teams in LMS are on the same level, if not even worse, than teams like Supermassive. Mabel is the man we're looking at right now. Obviously a guy... He's the bright point. He's a superstar on this lineup here. Fantastic mid laner. When we look back at that struggling early game you just mentioned before, we can look a little bit at Mabel, not because he's playing poorly, but because his champion picks are slow scaling like Azir and Gangplank, which does surrender some mid lane pressure, and then because the bottom lane 2v2 has been losing out, it simply means that suddenly this dragon control and early game kind of falls down for Flash Wolves because they can't really contest dragon when they lose the 2 lanes next to it, and then they start falling a bit behind. Yeah, absolutely, and that's the situation though, is they're certainly against a team who've had a harder time early game, certainly. You've seen some good points, of course, come out of Supermassive. You had Fabulous actually take a solo kill over Looper yesterday, and Fabulous is actually still in the lineup here, so that could be a nice bright point here. Of course, the game with SKT wasn't exactly great, but whose games really are, I guess, except for Royal. Well, yeah. So okay, yes, obviously these are beatable teams, but also sort of once you realize, like, well, SKT is certainly beatable, like this kind of gives you a little bit of hope. Like, look, honestly, all these games are anyone's game. Like, I think you can have your perceptions coming in, but what it comes down to is how well you play on the day. And there's always a chance for the upset. And I think if you're Supermassive, like the 2 games you're looking at is like the Flash Wolves game and the G2 game. Like those are the 2 games you're looking at a potential upset because, again, Flash Wolves been struggling in the early game. Good decision-making late game, but still, if you can manage to get an early lead and start snowballing, there's a chance. And G2 have just looked terrible. So, like, that's basically like a solo queue game almost between these 2 teams, and like not from Supermassive's point of view because they actually have like teamwork and communication, but more from G2's point of view. Yeah, and so there's going to be lineups or matchups I suppose to look for in the future. But right now, going to get ourselves in the game in a few seconds. Let's take a look at the lineups. We're going to start with LMS's Flash Wolves here, coming in hoping to do the best they very can and give respect to the region. MMD, the new top laner this season, returning members of the rest of them. Karsa in the jungle, Maple, an absolute superstar in the mid lane. NL on AD Kira used to split with Kramer last season, now is the only guy, and Sword Art, a very, very strong support as well. Fluid Wind, their on-stage coach. We talked about this before, Stake is their backstage coach, but Fluid Wind, their analyst and their on-stage for pick and ban coach. And the other side, Turkish Champion League champions, basically. Supermassive, with Fabulous up in the top lane, Stormarsh in the jungle as well, right next to him. Naro, the star player on this lineup in the mid lane. Achio as the AD carry. Dumbledoge, of course, as the support. We can never forget that name. Fan favorite Dumbledoge. Yeah, of course, and Hachi, the coach, is behind the team. And honestly, again, as I said before, you're looking at Flash Wolves, you're looking at G2 if you're Supermassive right now. RNG just beat SKT, CLG is 2-1 as well. Like those 2 teams, you can say if you're Supermassive, okay, we want obviously gonna try as hard as we can, but they will be harder, of course, compared to like Flash Wolves' early game problems and then G2. And that's the thing is you could always go higher, but I think the realistic goals here for Supermassive are 5th or 4th. Both would be an upgrade over whatever wildcard was getting last year at Worlds. Getting 4th is actually incredible because Turkey gets a direct seed in the World Championship. If you think Flash Wolves and G2 are both assailable in this regard, you can leapfrog both those teams. If it's just one, hey, you get a pool 2 seed for a wildcard team. That's not bad either. So we are getting ourselves now into picks and bans. Flash Wolves hoping to recover off a disappointing loss to CLG yesterday. Of course, it would be amazing for the region if they did make top 4, if they got a pool 1 seed for the LMS. After getting 2 teams in the quarterfinals last year at Worlds, you'd think maybe they deserve it. Here's a chance to prove it. Definitely, and we're looking at Flash Wolves in the early game in this one. It has to be clean, it has to be much better. Poor Dumbledoge will never get to play his Bard. He's a playmaking support, who also likes a lot of Puppy, and we've seen elite support from him as well. So, and some of those off-meta supports heavily favor the Puppy so far. I played it twice already. He's been pretty good at it, honestly. Dumbledoge has been a great player overall, but so far the Turkish squad has needed a little bit more than what they've been giving out. So we'll see if they can improve a bit more in this game and take down Flash Wolves. Yeah, and I would just like to see Supermassive try and get a counter pick for Fabulous up in the top lane, because
when they're playing Fabulous, it's because they want to play carries most of the time. They want to play like a split pusher. He's a very strong solo player, where Thaldrin is more of the tank, he's the team player, so they can swap them in and out. But because Fabulous had a good game yesterday, they're obviously starting him again.
Yeah.
And also MMD is a man you can shut down and start snowballing on.
And we'll see, he was almost able to single-handedly carry in the Flash Wolves game against CLG yesterday, but didn't quite happen for him, but had a great Echo game. That's why you're seeing that Echo ban here, of course. Supermassive will potentially show that Stamaj will play Graves.
Yeah, Supermassive with the Nidalee ban, and then LMS Flash Wolves with the Kindred ban at the same time, meaning that normally Graves would be the jungler left of the three.
Right, the top
but they actually
tier.
valued the Maokai above it. Even though Fabulous is not a big Maokai player, and again, normally likes these assassins or split pushers.
Maybe it's actually Fabulous playing him, and it's all a big troll. Who knows?
Let's see, we get a good jungler here for Supermassive, and no Poppy support.
Nope, it's definitely Braum. There's no chance Braum's going anywhere else. I would eat the hat I'm not wearing if that would happen here. So LMS to go with their time in the pick and ban. Poppy, of course, not going to be picked by anyone here at this point with Maokai already grabbed up. I actually still can go top lane for Fabulous, so I take that back. But
he can actually play the Fizz into Maokai.
Sure, that's going to be a good matchup.
And have his tank Fizz with Fervor of Battle and be that split pusher. Meaning now for Flash Wolves, they've actually seen, or Flash Wolves have shown both solo lanes.
Right.
So Supermassive can very easily just decide now which pick do we want to show as one of our counters. And a great counter, if we go a few weeks back, is actually Lissandra into LeBlanc.
And that's the thing, though, is it's LMS changing their playstyle. We heard Clement talk about it on the analyst desk yesterday. At the end of the day, LMS play a lot of assassin mids on Maple. They play a high tempo. Maple roams around the map, makes the plays sort of style. Yesterday they had played scaling mids with Theazir, with the Gangplank, going back now to the old aggressive style here. But blind picking mid laner is still always a little bit scary, giving the Turkish squad the chance to counterpick both these solos. And as you mentioned, Lissandra's a great one for that.
But Flash Wolves are showing why they didn't care about first picking Graves. They want a more aggressive ganker because they want to run this LeBlanc, as we saw coming in, or as we can see coming in as the blind pick for Maple, and now a potential Lee Sin for Kasa, a great champion for him as well. And then suddenly you have that same setup RNG showed in the last game, where the 2v2 around mid lane is so strong, and especially the way you can set up the ganks.
Yes.
Even against the Lissandra, yes, she can ult yourself at level 6. Before that, if you jump in with the change, you more or less force the Lissandra to claw backwards, and therefore losing a lot of the lane pressure. But when it comes to these team fights, when it comes to level 6 from Lissandra, it becomes difficult for LeBlanc, because you jump in, she will snare you with her W first, she'll then ult to you right after, and then you're an easy target.
Well, we'll see how well those targets can be. Naru hoping to keep himself alive against an all-star mid-jungle duo of Maple and Karsa. Those are the guys who are really charged with carrying Flash Wolves to victory more often than not.
Give us the
Lee
Fizz.
Sin
Come
is
on.
grabbed. Alistair, the support for Sword Art, no big surprise there either. No Bard on the table. They go for the big normal tanks we see from most teams. Flash Wolves have their lineup, plenty of damage, and really relying on Maple with this LeBlanc.
Yeah, and again, a good mix of damage from Supermassive, with physical damage from jungler, AD carry, magic damage from mid lane. Again, opens up for a potential Fizz, because you don't go too heavy either way if you lock into Fizz from Supermassive.
Yeah, you have a good enough mix on either side. Honestly, any damage type would work reasonably well. Ezreal almost half and half, Graves all physical, Lissandra all magic.
There it is.
There's the Fizz hover.
You want to play it.
Of course.
Dumbledore doesn't seem too hyped about it, but
well,
we know they want to
normal.
play it.
It's normal, and it is. The Fizz coming back in once again. Fabulous going to be playing himself that Fizz in the top lane into the Maokai. LMS Flash Wolves had to see it coming, and I don't think they're very surprised here.
No, and honestly,
how much more success he can have.
A change in the way you pick and ban coming in from Flash Wolves and saying we're gonna first pick a champion. Maybe they did think Supermassive would play it, but we obviously know Fabulous is more off the carry type, as we said before. So I feel like it's almost, we want to take this first pick also because we actually want to see what you start locking in, which we normally don't see very often. When it comes to the first pick, you get that #1 champion available in the draft, and you lock it in.
I think Maokai is that.
I mean, I think it is in a normal situation, but not against Fabulous.
Right, who would
that's the only
like
one.
to play this matchup.
Yeah, that's the only one where normally you would wouldn't first pick them out.
Well, that's what we've been seeing so much of today. There was like, oh yeah, go ahead and take that blind pick Azir. Go ahead and show me that champion so I can counter pick you. And it's all these champions being shown off as though they're so valuable. And when you prepare for this tournament, the teams are reacting to that and saying, well, I have Aurelion Sol ready, or I have the LeBlanc ready. I'm willing to take this fight to you and win it. And so far, that's been happening actually. These counter picks have gone well, and we'll see if that happens yet again. And if Turkey can get their upset win here, as the coaches shake hands, the Turkish squad 0-2, but targeting this as one of the games they can win, that they can bring the upset to and elevate their standings here in the global stage.
And Flash Wolves double teleport. We get a good matchup top lane. Fabulous as well. There are ways to snowball here for Supermassive.
We'll see if they can do it. You guys at home, let us know if it's going to be happening here, because Flash was coming in as the favorite. You can, of course, support them by tweeting at @LoLeSports, #FWin, or #SUPwin for Supermassive here from Turkey to see if they can pull off that upset, if they can give a seed to Turkey, or at least a better seed to the wild card teams at the World Championship later this year. We also saw a second ago on the screen, Turkey does own the Rift. Their fans out in greater numbers with the Summoner icons. And we are now into the game. Supermassive looking for that upset.
And let's see what Flash Wolves can do in the early game. We've criticized it, but it's been with LeBlanc and not a LeBlanc, sorry, with Azir and Gangplank as the picks. Now you change it up. Now we are looking at a lot more aggression coming from Mabel early on. Back up from Casa, of course. And again, this combo here back in the LMS is, in my opinion, the strongest mid lane jungle combo there is in the region. And they've done it time and time again. I almost feel like Mabel is like too good for the other mid laners. And that's why like he can pick like a Gangplank and win the lane with like 30 CS. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen. And he played it yesterday, had a great game on it, but obviously fell behind in laning phase as expected normally.
His turret took a whole bunch of damage in the straight one-on-one, and CLG eventually knocked it down themselves.
Used it to gain that big advantage. It gave him the dragons.
I do want to point out something that's been happening more and more often. Sword Art is running Thunderlords on Alistar. This has been actually really frequent as of the last few rounds of regional playoffs. Many Alistars are running Thunderlords just so that they can get the all-in damage.
Yes.
And tick that across so that they can actually land kills.
And the specific reason it's Sword Art doing it here for Flash Wolves is because this team used to struggle with the 2v2 laning. Whenever they played AHQ in the past, they would actually lose that 2v2 between NL and Sword Art against an AD carry like Anne, who's a fantastic AD carry, of course. We've seen at Worlds. They would lose the 2v2s, so they started drafting more aggressively towards it, and also pick keystones or summoner spells that make you stronger in the 2v2 lane. And ever since they've done that, Sword Art and NL didn't actually struggle against AHQ's bottom lane, and have been able then to allow Maple and Casa basically to take over the game from the mid lane and at least go even in the bottom side. Because we see Sword Art here, offensive summoner, Thunderlords as a keystone.
Offensive keystone, yeah.
He has that all-in potential, and he's going to be stronger in the laning phase because of it.
We'll see if that can actually turn into advantage here. Problem is, Braum and Ezreal, a bit hard to actually kill in lane, so we'll see if any of it comes through properly. Achu missed a total of 2 CS on his first 2 waves here. We'll see how much he's able to deny against the Flash Wolves duo as they knock down these. And well, NL had missed 2 melees on the way in the first place. Karsa will get the red buff safely. It's a level 3 clear for him. Started topside Gromp Wolves down to the red buff.
Dumble Doge
has been spotted.
Playing it safe there. Walks in, places the ward, and instantly turns around to walk away. You don't want to move all the way to the red camp, because if you then see the Lee Sin with red buff,
kills you.
He's gonna kill you.
Yep.
So
flash or not, he will chase you down.
Very small little detail, but some of the things we have to look at still, because sometimes we get these random kills and you're like, how did that happen? And then it's because someone were a little bit too aggressive with his warding or pathing. Not this time around. Top lane, again, we have this fun matchup where you have to safe pick in Maokai, and as you said, it's a great first pick normally because he's the S tier top laner. But Fabulous, he does have some of these counters, and this Fervor of Battle full tank Fizz is one of them.
And we're seeing an early invade come in, more like a gank actually from Karsa here. Took Scuttle Crab, then walked up the top side. Stamaj looks like he knows what's going on here. Fabulous gonna get spotted as well. Nice jump over the wall and a jump to MMD. Karsa able to walk away without taking almost any meaningful damage. Nicely done.
So 2 teams understanding the early game here. One team is trying to save, or not save, but basically shut down the Fizz, who obviously needs a lot of items to become very strong. Sending a jungle up, and here's one of the engages from Sword Art.
Yeah, Headbutt Pulverize comes in, and of course, Arcane Shift requires a quarter-second cast time, so even if your reflexes are amazing, you will probably still take the damage from Alistar.
Definitely so.
Definitely matters. Thunderlords even gets triggered as well, because even just casting the Headbutt starts triggering your Tremors passive. And turns out that ends up meaning that the damage ticks.
But yeah, again with the Fizz now, we go back to the top lane and see more and more of this action. Early on, you don't really win the lane that hard, especially also after Marker got a bit more MR.
Yeah.
Coming in makes it harder. You need items under your belt, so that's why Kasa also was looking at that lane. Saying, all right, if we can get an early kill, maybe he falls behind, 10, 15 CS. He's not going to be a big threat.
And even though Fizz can go untargetable, the Maokai root will still land and deal damage, which makes it trivial for Lee Sin to land a follow-up here. So there's certainly tools to make that top lane gank work for Flash Wolves. Watch the 2-on-2 in the bot lane. It's still a slight lead for Achu and Dumble Doge, but not meaning all that much overall. NL and Sword Art trading some blows back and forth. Alistair keeping the health bar up, and
yeah, we need to look top lane if we want to see any early action between junglers and top laners.
They're back.
They're back now, at least one of them. The Graves is up here showing himself. Good little early ward, but also I like to see these pink wards coming down early defensively, because not only is it a good defensive ward, actually also it's an offensive ward at the same time, because it gives you a ganking path if you are the Graves. And again, sort of just going in with the combo and then getting the auto attack to proc.
But now he's out of mana, so Supermassive can be completely irreverent to the fact that it's a 2-on-2 lane.
The timing though is good still, because you have enough gold on your AD carry for BF sword, so having to recall is not a problem if you are Flash Wolf, so you can actually use your entire mana pool there. Just push out the lane right after. There's not really any threat either from the Ezreal to do a whole lot, sitting on just the Doran's Blade. And you actually want to push it out now if you're Flash Wolves and go back to base, because you want to get that BF sword versus tier for as long as possible. The longer you wait, the more items the Ezreal can get on his first back as well, and you wanted to just get that tier and maybe a call, and then your BF sword will dominate the lane. So push this one out of your Flash Wolves and then get the recall in.
Yeah, they'll have that coming in soon. They've got the wave pushed first. Maybe they wait for level 6, but that would be that would be several waves away. Mid laners are 6 already, which means the TP from Lissandra could happen as a flank. Stamaj look for the bot lane fight, doesn't find it, and just turns right back around, but lost some time as Karsa's still farming. Still a level lead though for Stamaj. This Lee Sin has not turned into any kills and is getting out farmed right now by Graves, as you would expect in the matchup, but you pick Lee Sin for the early pressure, and that's not happening yet.
Yeah, especially around level 6 is where Lee Sin comes online and he gets his ulti. A lot of his early game, like when it comes to like dueling potential against the Graves, can be very, very risky. Graves does so much early damage on his own, and if you're fighting in the jungle with the walls, connecting that double damage from his Q. So Lee Sin is okay waiting for level 6, but obviously you would have loved to have that early level 3 with red buff, pull off a crazy gank and start snowballing one of your lanes, but keep in mind Flash Wolf's side. It's either around mid lane, which is difficult, versus a TP Lissandra who can ult to yourself, and you don't know if Graves is nearby, or it's try and snowball this top lane, but it's difficult. Because again, you never want to risk a counter gank happening and suddenly the Fizz is sitting on 2 kills, and that's the worst you can do as Flash Wolves.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a bit of a concern right now, though. MMD is going to be ahead in this matchup. Fabulous going to go ahead and recall back and get his first buy. MMD has already done that without even burning his teleport and is up in minions right now. So top lane being won by him. Mid lane as Maple gets back in the lane. Keep in mind, Naru had already TP'd back in. Maple's ahead of that one as well. And Achu pretty much the same situation, but
man, this bot lane, it's funny again, because we talked about before, you know, getting that BF sword into a tier is great for Lucian, but at the same time, for an Ezreal just staying in lane longer,
no tier.
Yeah, it kind of hurts him because it means stacking is worse, but at the same time, he gets so much more gold, so maybe he can get the tier and actually an attack damage item next to it.
Like for Manamune. Well, actually, 2,300 gold is enough for Manamune, I believe. So this is actually a really good recall for Achi right now.
So there's just different parts of in the lane in times of where you can recall and when it's good and bad.
Yeah.
For the Ezreal, in a sense, it's bad to recall later because of no tier, but when you get a straight Manamune, well, that's better for you because you're obviously much stronger, and also you can stack that fairly quickly. And now we're gonna see like NL go back and get BF Sword and a Warhammer probably, if he actually has enough gold for it. Yeah, 2,400. Exactly. So he's gonna get Warhammer and BF Sword, and he's obviously strong. But they've been staying in lane for a very, very long time.
So finished Manamune, that will stack up pretty quickly. He can keep that mana regain pass. It's pretty much on cooldown at this point, just with the auto attacks. Recalled after level 6 after he could wave clear with the True Shot Barrage. Similar situation now for NL, who walks up, culls the wave, and recalls back himself. That'll give enough money to buy some potions. 2,600 gold in his recall. Standard stuff from those bot lanes now. Of course, Abyssal Scepter for both these mid laners, no surprise. They're both practically melee and, well, against magic damage mid laners, so normal stuff here.
Yeah, very, very standard so far. Nothing really surprising. Every lane just farming it out. Small goal advantage for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, 400 now. and that is almost entirely from the top lane. Junglers are actually practically equal. Mid laners, small lead for Maple here. So we are seeing that Flash Wolves early game go well.
But we've now hit that point where Kasa is level 6. He can actually start going aggressive, look for a few plays.
Yep. And this is trademark Flash Wolves right here. As soon as Sword Art is able to get his first recall for a Sightstone, he and Karsa both go into the jungle. They get the deep wards down, and at some point they get a flank ward so they can TP MMD behind the dual lane and go for the dive.
Still staying around. Stomach trying to force him away. Started Supermassive, and clearly they've done their homework, because instantly as they saw the level 6 from Lee Sin, they also grouped together jungle support. And then you get that small little battle between them where you're just trying to force them out of your jungle and get into their jungle and place a ward or two. They're trying to do the same. In the end, Supermassive get one ward, not very far in though, and actually we have Flash Wolves with 2. So we look at the small things right now between the teams, but we're by no means looking at an early game that's just kind of running out of control or anything.
Yeah.
Everyone is just farming away. And
Sword Art missed the Pulverize. I think he just wasn't in headbutt range and pressed Q and was like, oh shoot, that didn't actually happen. My bad, guys. Just a prank, still on cooldown, but here comes the top lane dive instead to the source of the global. Maple can't join easily. MMD in a 1 versus 3. Roots Stomaged, flashes away, but it will deny some farm and burn a flash.
Yeah, but really good play by MMD here. Don't stay under your tower, because then they will lock you down. Instead, just try and flash away as fast as possible. No teleport used. Fight in the bottom lane.
Ooh, good bit of damage down, but Sword Art will eventually regain all of this unless they can keep fighting. Thankful for Supermassive, it's actually not a really bad attack damage trough. The total attack damage gained by the Manamune from Ezreal is about 44, which is really almost exactly what NL's getting from his items anyway. So if you can actually have that kind of a recall in the bot lane, it's actually never bad for Ezreal. It's one of my favorite recalls for Ezreal.
And that's the thing, right? As we mentioned, like once you get that far into it, it's good again. But if you had recall on, let's say, 2,000 gold, you could sit on a T and a call and
pickaxe, and you're like a little sad.
And then it's suddenly not as great. But I just like getting like that early BF sword for your Lucian into a tier, and then you actually really can start bullying the lane, and you can set up potential dives with your jungler coming down with your plunks. Problem is, of course, with double teleport, these tower dives become a lot riskier to pull off. You need to know the timings of every single teleport, and if it is available, don't go for the dive.
That's kind of what Flash Wolves are playing around. They've just been unable to go for these heavily aggressive plays because there's just no openings there. Supermassive, able to sneak in and grab Rift Herald for themselves, and look at this. A big gold lead, 900, almost 1,000 for Supermassive. They got the top turret thanks to that top lane gank, and they got Rift Herald afterwards.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm actually surprised to see Kasa didn't go for any aggressive plays around the mid lane.
Especially because he itemized for it. He went for the red smite. He didn't go for the early tracker's knife to get the wards down. He wanted a combat smite to deal damage right away and battle somebody. He'll get a Sightstone later, I'm sure.
Knowing the junglers, though, he might have gone top, said, okay, I'm going to try and set up a gank here. He didn't get the gank off, and then he's like, oh, I need to farm now, because I'm slightly behind, so I'm just going to farm, get to level 6, then I'm going to start looking for plays. But that also means, obviously, more levels on the side of Supermassive, and suddenly the Lissandra is a lot safer, gets early MR, so she doesn't really get poked down as much, and then it becomes harder to take that gank, because if you jump in at level 6, and the Graves is there, well, that's not a great place to be in if you're the Lee Sin. So suddenly it becomes difficult, you know, if you don't get off the early gank and you feel like you're maybe falling slightly behind, you just want to farm up.
Sure, but yeah, if you don't have these plays actually happen, then it's kind of on you for picking Lee Sin in the first place, who doesn't have exactly the best late game overall. Karsa kind of still winning him to make a play, do what you picked the champion for. Ooh, that actually could have been really terrible for Achu.
Close.
If the headbutt lands, it's an easy combo to the Pulverize, into Culling probably actually kills him.
Still a Supermassive now that it had the Ezreal going back. Dumbledore was already back in base. Flash Wolves have been having full control, honestly. They have full control around this bottom lane, pushing it in.
Yeah.
And yes, they lost the top tower, but now they're going to pick up a bot tower basically for nothing. They're not investing anything into this. This is just the lane 2v2. No one else has to roam down.
Right, it didn't require a play or anything. It didn't require anything really significant. But now Dumbledore wants in on a Sword Art. A couple auto attacks in, another Q would stun him, and he actually gets the stun thanks to his Boots of Swiftness. Just doesn't mean very much, though.
And if Flash was staying around this bottom lane here, then we need to see a ward behind him from Supermassive and that double TP play. If they want to push it up further than the tier 1 tower, it's one of the big reasons you always see teams swapping away from it, because it's too risky pushing that far up early.
Ooh.
And you just swap to the top side of the map and you start playing around that tower. But for now, Supermassive is putting pressure in the mid lane.
A nice roam, yeah. They had pushed the top lane in very far. MMD stuck under his turret, and a red buff Graves does plenty of damage to this structure. Now we're helping as well, and yes, that will be 2 turrets to 1 now. Supermassive, in a game with no kills, are winning in turrets, out-rotating as a wildcard team, which is very, honestly, rare.
Just using the lane pressure they have with this Lissandra into LeBlanc, saying, okay, if you want to jump in and try and clear this wave, I'm going to snare you and ult you, and you die instantly. So you basically have to sit back and just try and queue the wave, and that's not enough for LeBlanc to wave clear. She's always had that very risky way of clearing the waves, and it never worked once your tower is actually under siege.
And it just means we keep seeing Supermassive play the slight advantage. Combo comes in, ulti coming across though as well from Achu. And we've got Stomaj right behind him. Carson's there as well, cut off. A nice knockback and first blood comes through to NL. The re-engage is in though, and Lysandre picks up one. Carson stuck under the turret. The fish is gonna catch him. That will be a deadly sin. 2-2, there was another kill that's come through thanks to Maple, and another pick off as well. MMD making it 3-2, advantage Flash Wolves.
Very good engage first here from Sword Art, getting a knockout on both Ezreal and Braum at the same time, so there was a lot of damage with Dumbledore and Achu. And also, Supermassive were fighting around this tower here. Flash Wolves always knew where everyone was. Like, look here. Never stand right next to your AD carry as the Braum, because then the combo happened, you get knocked up as well. Dumbledore is too low, he goes down, and on the left side of the screen, we actually see the rest of Supermassive fighting against Kasa. So now, the Flash Wolves know they have a numbers advantage on the other side of the tower, and there's no way for Supermassive really to move over and join the teammates. So Flash Wolves pick up a few kills.
And that's against the double TP. They won a fight against the double teleport where those 3 teleports were all used on both sides. The Flash Wolves came out ahead, making the gold very close despite losing that mid lane outer turret.
Yeah, now we get to see that swap to top lane. Again, you don't want to push too far up on the bottom side, so you swap AD carry support, play around the tier 1 top. Supermassive is looking to try and trade, basically mirror what Flash Wolves are doing, but they're pretty far behind in the play. They're not realizing that Flash Wolves now can just quickly push this one in.
Recall back.
And recall back to try and come down and defend, because MMD is already sitting on the bottom side.
We'll see how defensively he plays though. He knows instinctively that he should be under duress, and that could be a 3v1 down here. Supermassive actually not dedicating a lot of resources. Only the Braum and Ezreal actually wouldn't have killed Maokai.
No, and the reason MMD is sitting so far away from the tower is because, again, there's such a high chance of him getting killed on the tower by Lissandra coming down, by Graves coming down as well. So he knows, if I can't see them on the map, I have to just step away from tower. So many players will walk in on the tower, try and defend it. Instantly they die, 4v1.
But look what happened.
In the end, he gets it.
Stomaj and Naru were not sent bot lane. The Flash Wolves dual lane got to recall back, show back to the bot lane, defend the turret, play for this dragon as well, and that was not an objective actually gained by Supermassive that they honestly had rights to. Now dragon also picked up. Another great play for Flash Wolves.
Supermassive was simply way too slow the last 40 seconds at realizing what was happening.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they also saw the 3 guys on top side, they should just invest almost everything but the Lissandra on bottom side. Move down your jungler. Achu is dead.
Oh, he's in a bad spot. There's the Q. Karsa finally getting in there. His first kill of the game finally tastes blood. 4-2 now the scoreline.
Yeah, again, Supermassive just losing control of the map. As soon as you see 3 men push top, you do the same on the bottom side. The Maga could move into tower, or under the tower, because he knew now we have enough members on the way to this bottom lane. So if they dive me, I can buy time and they can join, and we will be able to get a few kills as well. So Supermassive just way too slow reacting. That means they now lost another kill, lost the top tower, and didn't get anything other than a Rift Herald in return.
The game's starting to slip away then from Supermassive as Flash Wolves weathered a fairly rough early game.
Yeah.
They were down turrets, they were down, I guess never really down in kills. The first fight actually went in their favor, but it was a deficit for them for a little while. But now, Flash Wolves riding a nice 1,000 gold lead. They're starting to take control of the map. Maple's getting quite far ahead himself, and the greater emphasis on playing the early game is so far paying off for Flash Wolves. LMS hoping to defend a strong showing at last year's World Championship, getting 2 teams in the top 8. Hoping to prove that they deserve a Pool 1 seed at Worlds, and Flash Wolves is a representative to do just that.
Yeah. And if the way, or with the way that G2 is playing, I mean, it's up to Flash Wolves themselves to secure that top 4 spot.
Certainly.
They already beat G2. They even said yesterday, before playing CLG, or Sword Art, he said himself that CLG was, in his opinion, one of the worst teams at the tournament. Then they lost to CLG.
Yeah.
And that have to show that they're not worse than Supermassive if you are the Flash Wolves. So far, it is looking okay for them. Definitely had some good moves just before. Supermassive are still in the game, for sure.
Yes.
And this Fizz is just getting stronger and stronger. Fervor of battle, of course, for him. Getting instantly like 6 stacks when he gets auto attack and then procs a W right after. And it's very, very strong 1v1, but it is a 1v1 pick.
It is. So we'll have to see how much more comes out of these players and out of these champions. Just to talk about Supermassive a little bit, honestly, almost every year the wildcard teams are, the perception is, well, they're here, but, you know, 0-10, they're going to be the free wins. You walk over them, you battle for the rest of the teams here. And even coming in, yes, they were underdogs, but Supermassive, this game has been 500 gold, 20 minutes in. This is a really threatening team, honestly. Finally, a good team that can honestly challenge the top dogs from the other major regions. And the Turkish squad has the hopes of not only the Turkish fans, but all wildcard fans actually on their shoulders.
Yeah, and obviously, looking back at Worlds, I mean, there's some good games coming as well from the wildcard teams. Or Bangkok Titans did struggle.
Yeah,
obviously.
But Pain had done pretty well.
Pain did well, picked up a few wins, and we just see the regions, they get better and better, but the tough thing is like the other regions around the world will also keep improving.
Of course.
And everyone is like trying to catch up to Korea, basically.
Yeah, well, but all those things are getting closer. We just saw China take down Korea last game, and now you've got the wildcard representative from Turkey coming in right now, looking at damage on the MMD. NL chunked low as well. The ulti's coming across, dropping him half HP, and the fish will find the tree whose flashes to get himself away. Double Doge finding a bit more. Iceborne slow out of Fabulous, and well, no kills picked up in the mid lane, going to be killed first off. Baron is alive. Naro has to give a bit of respect to Maple, who jumps right back away. And here comes the minion wave. How much of a siege can there be?
Supermassive didn't even have Naro nearby when that fight started. He still has ulti and everything ready. Engage him, sword off.
He still has ulti himself. Fabulous in the back line, gets rooted up though, jumps right back away. But this turret losing a lot of health thanks to Achu's Iceborne Gauntlet and Manamune. Double Doge rooted up, jumps back to his teammate, stays alive himself. But NL's back healthy and back in the mid lane. This turret's alive. I
like that move from Supermassive. They know Fabulous can always jump out with his Trickster anyway, and Dumbledore, he just places himself between Fabulous and the rest of his team, and no one is actually moving further in. No one is actually diving. He's just trying to zone them off towers so Achu can hit the tower at the same time, and Dumbledore is in the security, staying back. No one overcommits, no one dies. And again, Supermassive, they managed to get a good engage without Lysandra, who's the main engage on this team. Teleport is ready for 2 members. They can play this 1-3-1 game. A game I know they can play because they are practicing in Europe, and we have so many European teams who are always trying to play this 1-3-1 double TP style. And you can see Supermassive using Naro in the side lane. So far doing a great job, and this tower in the mid lane is dropping low.
Taking plenty of damage, 3 turrets to 2 the score already. Make that 4 after a little few more seconds, and yes, that is a turret destroyed. Supermassive hitting a 1,600 gold lead 22 minutes in. That is no small feat here.
The fact that Flash Wolves haven't managed to get any kind of snowball going with this LeBlanc and Lee Sin combo around that mid lane means this double TP is so effective now, because it's no longer about the 1v1s, it's about the map pressure you bring. If anyone goes down without a teleport to sit next to Naro, well, he's just gonna TP away from you. And then you just have a 5v4 team fight somewhere else on the map, and your LeBlanc is just kind of like, oh, okay. MMD is alone in the mid lane. Freak, what is he doing?
He is trying to leaf as fast as he can, but it's not going to be enough. And the line comes through, meaning just that for MMD. Gets stunned up, goes down for the count, able to re-engage, does pick up the kill despite Fab's flash, and now Stormage forced to run away. He's going to be all right with this one. A trade of kills. Both top laners are dead. A good turnaround by Maple.
Shows how tanky Maokai is at this point.
Yes.
2 items in, very, very effective for him as a tank with these 2 early. Great items, and he actually bought enough time despite being caught out in the mid lane randomly. He just stood in that mid lane, doing nothing, gets caught out, but he buys enough time. Flash gets a 1-for-1.
Naru's self-ult off of an attempt by Maple, actually. Flash burned on both mid laners, and Naru was forced to pop it to stay alive.
Another dragon for Flash Wolves. This was one of the things we looked at, because they actually lost a lot of dragons yesterday.
Yeah.
It was, in my opinion, the main reason they lost to CLG.
Yeah,
was the
heavy de-emphasis on dragon.
Exactly, they gave up 4 early dragons, and then when they actually got to the point where they were winning fights, CLG just needed 1 dragon to get 5, and then use it to like take a Baron after, and then try and close out the game. And they managed to get that 50-50. So not only did Flash Flash Wolves lose too many dragons early, they also then opted into a 50-50 smite
Yes.
for 5 dragons, which is obviously unacceptable in a lot of ways.
Sure, it's a bad choice.
And that's why they ended up losing, despite being winning late game team fights.
And now they're up against the ropes, honestly. A very close game, 25 minutes in now against the Turkish representatives of Supermassive. And it's a close game here. The battle for what may be 4th place based on how the teams are playing so far.
Well, yeah, if you put Supermassive, Flash Wolves, and G2 in the same pool, it's definitely a battle for 4th place, and also a battle to keep Dumbledore alive.
And it's not going to be happening. There we go. Maple snipes him down. Snipe killed Dumbledore.
You had to do it.
I had to.
He's down now, you said it. You happy?
I am happy.
Poor Dumbledore,
I think
man.
it was decent.
Dying for your pleasure, freak.
I think he died because Maple outplayed him.
No.
It wasn't. I didn't do this, okay?
It was for you.
No, it wasn't.
He's gonna go back and rewatch this game and be like, yeah, there it is.
You're welcome, freak.
There it is.
If there's anything Dumbledore would have done for me, it was first blooding Faker in the first game of the tournament for him. That should have been his mark on that match, but now we are in a game that's still neck and neck. Despite the kill, Supermassive still up in gold right now. However, Flash Wolves are stacking dragons. That has a sort of unstated gold value as well in stats gained, and there's plenty of turrets still to be killed here in this one. Red buff grab by NL, no big surprise here, and it's honestly a pretty slow and steady game. It's been played mostly off of individual picks. We now haven't seen a siege in kind of a long time, and it's just off what the positioning is, who can find someone to kill.
Yeah, and Mabel is definitely the man we're looking at. Death Cap completed, 3 items for him, needs a Void Staff as the next one, and Archer is not going for any magic resist right now. He's actually building a Bladed Rune King, which makes sense when you want to kill the Maokai, but I think getting at least a Hexdrinker against the LeBlanc is a very important thing as an Ezreal. Gives you at least a chance to start cutting and escaping if you get jumped.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get one-shot completely.
I think he'll just have to rely on the fact that his team can stay together. Nairo can point and click ulti and stun Maple, or you can flash root to guarantee the lockdown happens. And
sure, but like get the Hexdrinker so that at least you survive. You might be out of the fight, but you survive the engage, and then your team can lock him down.
Yeah, I understand. Like you have to sort of choose based on DPS, which is Ruin King, and survival, which is Hexdrinker, and he went for the DPS version of this one. Especially
also because Supermassive's lineup actually does really well when it comes to diving the backline of Flash Wolves and getting onto NL.
All right.
Which, funny enough,
in the ulti and
yeah, like you get send Nairo in, you send Fabulous in.
There we go. Dumbledore's though getting sent to his grave. He might be going down. Yes, Maple gets another one on a rampage. He is on LeBlanc. Fabulous goes in for the back line. Looks at the damage to the Maple, will not quite get it, and now getting run down. The red buff gonna work, and the double kill comes through after all. But now the flash, the root, the ulti in for Nairo, but he can't find enough damage to do a triple kill now in for Maple, and that should be the easy 4th, and it will be picked up. NL, a 4-for-0 fight for the LMS's Flash Wolves.
Yeah, once again, Flash Wolves getting a good engage on the Supermassive, and the 5th pick, we talked about it earlier, it's great if you're split pushing and trying to 1v1 the Maokai, but in a team fight, it will never offer the same. You just see MMD sitting in the front, tanking up multiple members of Supermassive, and then Maple can jump around like he wants to, pick up 2-3 kills. Baron now for Flash Wolves, and while Supermassive had some good moves around the map before, got some early towers, were dead even in gold before that fight, suddenly Flash Wolves strike. See it again. So basically Supermassive is trying to clear some of the vision near the Baron, and we just see the engage coming in. Maple starts the whole thing. Now MMD is sitting in the front line, just sitting in that choke point, and Nairo is out of the fight, Stormage is out of the fight, and Archer is running from base. Wasn't even there. You can never walk in towards the Baron if the enemy team has control if you're not ready to fight, because they will engage on you. And this Ezreal has just joined the fight now.
Yep. Not enough damage really got dealt. Sword Art tanked a lot with his ulti, and MMD did the same. Backline was not accessed. Sloppy fight for Supermassive, a great fight for Flash Wolves, and now the squad from the LMS looking to start out the tournament 2-1. Quick root by MMD, takes a turret shot, doesn't care too much otherwise, and that Fabulous will run away.
And there's 3 guys from Supermassive defending on bottom side, opens up mid lane for Flash Wolves to push in with NL. The man they actually want to have near the towers, no one else, honestly.
Sure.
Just have your AD carry there, buff up these minions, and another tower going down.
Ties that score lead and makes it now a 4,000 gold advantage for Flash Wolves.
And we know they can play late game. Like they've shown 2 games in a row now, Flash Wolves, that they are very, very good late game. They're They understand how to punish teams when they're not playing properly. So like Supermassive, they're having the AD carry in base and potentially another engage. Naru's behind.
Sword Art does have his ulti. LeBlanc around the wings. There's Naru taking plenty of damage. Self-ults buy some time. Doesn't get a lot of damage down. Maple in the back line. Nearly takes down Achu. That's MMD pushing in, gets the kill. Fish means nothing in a Maple. That's no damage at all. Another kill for NL, finally taking down Naru. A good ulti for Double Doge, but a nice knockback by Sword Art. Looking to make the Fabulous die. Here's the backline access. Maple gets one, Maple gets two. He looks for three, and he's gonna get it. A triple kill for the Flash Wolves mid laner. 15-3 now the scoreline.
9-0 and 2 for Maple here. Another triple kill. And Flash Wolves, they needed 30 minutes. It took some time, but they're going to close out this game.
I think they're going to end it right here. One of the fastest games at the mid-season Invitational. A great showing once they got to the team fight phase. They got through the laning phase. They got through the early skirmishes. Maple popping off on LeBlanc, 9-0 and 2. And Flash Wolves improves to 2-1.
And I just realized I said it took some time for Flash Wolves. It's only 30 minutes.
Sure.
Basically, it took some time for Flash Wolves to
start team fighting
and getting a goal lead, honestly, because they once again didn't look impressive in the early to mid game.
No.
Supermassive were even in goal. It wasn't until they started making a few mistakes and then Flash Wolves, as we have seen before, can punish it. It was like basically from like 28 minutes to 30 minutes was where Flash Wolves just won 2 team fights, got a Baron, and finished the game.
It's a 7,800 gold Baron power play. They went from winning a team fight by, I believe, 2 kills or something, taking Baron, wiping the opponents off the face of the map. That was one of the crispest executions in both versions of the word. They executed the composition, they executed Supermassive. 0-3 now for the Turkish squad. They are joining G2 at the bottom of the rankings. They'll face off later on. That will actually be a very important match, but shows that Flash Wolves were able to bounce back from a rough loss to CLG. Was certainly within their hands, within their grasp. They couldn't quite close it out.
Yeah.
But it also now means that all the tough fights for Flash Wolves are ahead of them.
Definitely. And I mean, we can't say much more because this was a must-win game for Flash Wolves if they want to challenge for that top 4. And again, as we said before, with G2 struggling right now, it is Flash Wolves, CLG, RNG, and SKT who's looking to move through to the playoffs. And G2 sitting outside together with Supermassive. Also why that matchup is going to be so key, because that's your chance to get some confidence back for both teams.
Absolutely. You've got Royal sitting comfortably at 3-0, and then a whole bunch of teams sitting at 2-1. SKT Korea included here in this one. You've got that very tight race right in the front, and then, yes, 2 games to make up now for both G2 and Supermassive. Yes, that can still be made. There are 7 games left to play for each of these teams. -2 with 7 to go. That's obviously very doable, including the fact they're going to rematch all those teams that beat you before. So certainly, there is some ground to be made up, but it's got to start happening soon. Yes, Supermassive gets to face G2. That's the must-winnest of the games, I think, for sure. And then, look, you look for that one more upset, you can maybe leapfrog, and that's kind of the goal here.
And you're looking for the head-to-head, because there will be tiebreakers potentially by the end of this group stage, and you want to make sure that you're not like 0-2 with the team who actually are fighting with you for that 4th place. So, still for G2 and Supermassive, every game is a must-win game almost.
Definitely is. Right, exactly. Find some wins somewhere. That's the goal here for the bottom of the table standings. Otherwise, it's been a great game for Flash Wolves. They took down Supermassive in just 30 minutes. Great game, great win for the LMS. Let's send it over to Dash.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, a win for Flash Wolves that they'll be happy to have gotten, but I'm not quite sure they're going to be terribly happy with how the game went, as it was a rather slow start for this team through the first 20 minutes.
It was. Like, if you're going to go LeBlanc, Lee Sin, what you want to do with his compositions is you want to have some early kills in the pre-15 minutes. And actually, Karsa, he tried a couple ganks, he fell behind really far, 2 camps up, and he didn't get much done. But what Flash Wolves are willing to do is they're willing to sit on the LeBlanc. In their eyes, if the LeBlanc gets to 30 minutes and it's a slow game, no kills, then LeBlanc is going to get a lot of stuff done just with the item lead.
But I think that this is kind of a little bit worrisome, because when we saw the Flash Wolves, we thought, you know, they can play 2 different styles. They have the scaling Gangplank, but when they play Assassins, they actually have learned how to play a fast-paced League of Legends. This game, even though it went 30 minutes, they weren't really proactive with their composition until they started capitalizing on mistakes on Supermassive. And other teams aren't going to make these mistakes, in my opinion, because we've seen a lot of grouped up 5v5 team fights, and Supermassive's mistakes were actually like, we're not going to stay together as a unit. We're going to jockey for position a little bit too much with a 1-3-1, and Flash Wolves, definitely the more experienced team, took advantage of that, but I don't know if it was in fashion that they would have liked to have been able to win that game.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm in a little bit of a time capsule or something, because this is the Flash Wolves I saw at Worlds. They were the ones that were slower in the game, and then Maple would try and solo carry the game. And it happened a little bit here, but during the regular season and the playoffs in LMS, they were able to play that faster game. So I agree that it's worrisome that they haven't been able to transition that yet onto this stage.
And I also think that another thing you will worry about is we've seen Dumble, Doge, and Achu just get a little bit bullied time in this tournament so far. And Alan Sorda did not punish the Ezreal lane at all. In fact, I think Achu was, in my opinion at least, the Braum Ezreal lane was ahead for the majority of that game until they started moving around the map, in which case Flash Wolves gives a lot of side lane farm over to that AD carry. So I think that they will look at this and think, we beat them as a team 100%, but our individual 5v5 players, apart from, in my opinion, Maple, didn't really step up overly much in this game.
Now, I will say one thing, though. I think Flash Wolves did turn around a little bit, and they prioritized Dragon a lot more. This is something coming into the tournament I actually talked to Steak about, and they say after watching the Korean finals where SKT prioritized Dragon to get fight that much, that's something they're willing to do more.
I think the devil's advocate point of that is that it did come at the expense of an early turret and some Rift Herald. So it's nice to see that they are putting that priority there. Now it's about, can they clean up the rotations and make sure that they're not sacking so much early in the game in order to secure it.
And to extend on that, even though they did have the Lee Sin and LeBlanc, like they were against a top lane Fizz when they had Maokai. So the scaling advantage was still in the favor of Flash Wolves, which makes it excusable if they want to slow play that game. And by slow play, they still won at 30 minutes. So like we were expecting them to kind of come out guns blazing, get a huge goal lead, and they didn't do that. But they still knew they had the big compositional advantage.
Spawn, how about that Fizz, though, and Fabulous? I love that pick.
It's a good pick, but we have to snowball the game with it.
You do have to snowball the game, but I honestly think that Fab was not to blame for that. You saw that even when they were taking turrets, he was one of the few people that would walk up and keep hitting the turret. He understood that he had a timer on the game. It's just maybe Storm Age that didn't quite get the memo on that. He was more than willing to slow pay. I mean, he's on the Graves. I think Ezreal as well. So it was a mismatch composition to me. Like they had two very safe scaling, then they had the Fizz. But we've seen it twice now. It's lost twice. It didn't really win lane that game. I like it as a pick, but I think they do need to go back to conventional. They've done it with Dumbledore. He's back on the Braum. Now get Fabulous on something like a Poppy.
Yeah, well, needless to say, Flash Wolves will be happy to have secured the win and move to 2-1 in the tournament. Supermassive still looking for their first victory. We need to take a quick break, but stay right there, because just in a few minutes, Europe's G2 Esports will look to pick up their first win against the undefeated Royal Never Give Up. We'll be right back.
We are now into the game. Supermassive looking for that upset. Ages in though, Lysander picks up one, Karsa stuck under the turret, the fish is going to catch him, that will be a deadly sin. 2-2, there was another kill that's come through thanks to Maple. Fabulous goes in for the back line, looks at the damage to Maple, will not quite get it, and now getting run down, the red buff going to work, and the double kill comes through after all. Here's the backline access, Maple gets one, Maple gets two, he looks for three, and he's gonna get it, a triple kill.